Fajing. If we want to develop explosive power, we need to understand how the various parts of the body fit together. And we're talking now about the limbs. How do they fit together with the torso? And how does energy move through the body? So we talked last class about bringing the energy up through the earth, having it move through the body, reaching the shoulders, and to do arm swinging, working from here. Not the arms, from the feet to earth. It's that subtle pushing and letting it roll, spiral up through the body, reaching the shoulders and causing us to move, to rotate more or less around the spine. Okay. Now to go to the next stage that we want to go to, where we begin to move that energy down from the shoulders to the elbows to the wrists to the fingers, is something we need to do or understand beforehand. And that's what we call the seven gates. Think of, like the canal, Mississippi or the Panama Canal, where you got boats going through, changing height, elevation because of the relative level of the seas. So, they go from one gate to the next gate, to the next gate, down, next gate, in order for the energy, the boat being the energy, in order for that energy to flow. The same thing is true with the body. This pushback that we've spoken about in terms of our relationship to the earth. The energy has to pass through 7 gates. The ankles, that's one, or the first gate. The knees is the second gate. The hips and waist, call it the qua, K-W-A, the qua. The hips and waist area, right? That's the third gate. The spine, that's the fourth gate. We've gone to the 5th gate, the shoulders. Now we want to go to the elbow and to the wrist, on out to the hand and fingers. And in order to do that, we need to understand how these parts fit together, how they work. So the most basic thing is to, one, recognize that there are these 7 gates. And if you've ever maybe hit your elbow or had something happen with one of your joints, and for that whatever period of time that was, you couldn't move it. Okay, well, energy was blocked. Okay, because of the trauma or whatever it was. You bumped your elbow, but the trauma actually blocked energy in your body. I mean, that is what we're trying to do, or what we're doing when we hit someone. Right? To knock somebody out, right? You're trying to short circuit the flow of energy. So, 7 gates. So when we do our standing meditation, one of the things that we're doing is trying to relax, or we're relaxing in order to connect the whole body by relaxing the muscles, the tendons, the ligaments, so that the joints are open. This is closed, tense. Joints are locked, they're closed, right? And a lot of us go through daily life, moving, with this stiffness, that is indicative of our mindset, and to that extent, also indicative of our health state. So what we're doing, this practice that we're doing on the road to Fajing, is not just for the martial artists. It's for anyone who is interested in maximizing their health, because it is body awareness that is the first building stone for good health. Your body is communicating to you all of the time. It's sending you messages constantly about what it needs in order to maximize its potential to keep itself healthy, to establish longevity, a longevity resource base. And it sends you these messages. It isn't that the messages aren't constantly coming. It's that you and I tend to ignore the messages, put responding to the messages off, and in other ways, we don't follow through on what the body is communicating to us, and that sets up the condition for poor health. So what we're talking about here then is not just from a martial arts standpoint, it's also from a health and healing standpoint. So again, simply standing. You're meditating, focusing in on your breathing. You don't have to control the breath. Just focus in on your natural rhythm of breathing. Feel the energy, the connection between you and the earth, and establish a flow of energy simply by pushing against the earth. Now, watch what happens. See if you can see a change that takes place in my movement. Watch my arms and the pace of my movement. So I don't know if you were able to pick up on that, but what happened, once I started moving from the bottom, okay, my arms now are swinging at the shoulders. Okay? And as they begin to swing, they have their own rhythm because of the weight and the structure of the arm. It has its own rhythm, just like with our weapons. We know that there's a dance taking place, a marriage between you and the weapon. You give the weapon energy. Let's say cut. You give the weapon energy, and the weapon either exhausts that energy in the cut, or it has residual energy as it passes by. Well, that residual energy has to be resolved. And so if you cut here, you've got to resolve that energy by bringing it around this way, or you've got to resolve the energy by turning here, and then you can, go back to what it is that you're going to do. So energy needs to be resolved. The same way that energy needs to be resolved, energy can be guided. But there has to be, there has to be a relationship, a connectivity between you and the thing that is also expressing energy. So what happened was this. I started moving. The energy passed through my shoulders, and the arms began to pick up that energy and began to swing. Now, once my arms began to swing, what I did was I began to pace myself differently in order to harmonize with the arms so that I could then control their movement. Okay? So I went from getting the whole body to move, and that's a certain pace just to do that. But once the arms get involved in the process, and they begin to move, now I have to take them into account, right? Because the energy is passing beyond the fifth gate down towards the sixth and seventh gate. So now I have to say, okay, now how do I control the energy in that fifth, that sixth and seventh gate? What does my pace need to be now as opposed to what it was before? What do I need to do if I'm doing a form that we call twin swords, right? I can do twin swords empty-handed. I can do twin swords with tiger hook swords. I can do twin swords with sais. It's the same form, but it's being done with different weapons, and it's going to feel differently. I have to express the energy, allow the energy to move through my body differently, depending on the weapon that I'm sending that energy to. Same thing with the body without the weapon. We're sending energy that we're generating from pushback through the body and controlling it so that we can direct it to where we want it to go, at the pace that we want it to go, the speed that we want it to go, and exactly at the target that we want it to go. That's where we're going. That's that Fajing, that explosive power. So that's enough for now. Let's just think about the 7 gates, the little demonstration I just did, feeling the energy and controlling. You want to get the arms. You're first moving with the shoulders. And then once you feel them begin to move beyond the movement of the shoulder, not here like this here, but once they begin a slight swing, then now you got to take them into account. So you may need to change your pace in order to really get control of the arms from that same source, the pushback, okay? Hope that's clear. We're going to continue this in the next video, talk more about the actual application of the pushback through the 7 gates. But I wanted to introduce this concept of the 7 gates, the joints, how the body fits together, and moving energy from source through the 7 gates to whatever you want to move it to a weapon, to an opponent, directly to an opponent, whatever, okay? Okay. As my Grandmaster, Master Musa, Moses Powell used to say, each one, teach one. See you in the next lesson.